What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. BobbyFi flying solo. It sounds like Sheets is having a good time. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to get through this as best I can and try not to cough on you guys too much. You guys, I'm just going to go through the games, and I'm going to go reverse order because we're still obviously waiting on big news. We have Buddy Hield officially in as of like just now. Jalen Suggs is now a game time decision, which is probably a sign that he may not play, which would change things quite a bit, but at least that's the first game. And then we, of course, have to worry about the Cade thing. What to do with that. Cade, Harris, and Asar, we don't know what to do here. So, again, they all play. Probably not much that we have to do. If they don't, obviously we have to keep going back and scrambling for the guys who have been stepping in. All right. Let's go game by game. I'm going to tweak a few things as we go along the way, and I'll rerun things and double check before lock. But I'm just going to go for a few numbers. This De'Aaron Fox number, it's pretty hot, but I get why. I have no issue really with that or the Olenek projection. I do think that Champagnie, you could argue just because of the minutes that we could bump him up a little bit. I think that it's going to be enough for me. I do think Cornette's being a little bit under projected. I think there's some upside for him here. I just bumped him up a little bit. I might even go just to where Goldie has him, 29.22. And Keldon Johnson is the one that I feel like Sabersim is a little lower on, that I'm a little higher on. So we'll see what this happens in the starting lineup. But again, we can always late swap. And for right now, I'd rather just be overweight these guys in the situation rather than underweight. So I don't mind bumping their projections up a little bit because we can, of course, late swap. Look, I like the Vince Williams play. It's going to look good no matter what you do. I'm just dropping it a little bit just because I don't think you need 100%. And also, I want to see a starting lineup before I do anything. But again, later game, we can decide later. Love Aldama in these situations. I'm actually going to put him closer to where Goldie has him. And let's just see real quick. 0.4. We'll do 0.5, yeah. I do like Aldama. And this Jaren Jackson, look, show me one time, man. One time this season, we've seen it in the past. I tend to lean a little lower. I just can't deal with it enough. Like, he has not hit his projection the entire season. And with these guys out, it hasn't really made much of a difference. So I'm going a little bit lower on him than that. Again, I'm still going to end up with some, but I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out. I do like getting more of the field than Coward. I don't love the price, but I'm sort of content to leave the projection and getting a little bit of exposure. Again, can late swap and do all that stuff later. I like Cam Spencer a little bit. I'm not going to probably end up getting to him much really, but I do think the projection's a little low on Sabersim, so I bumped him up a little bit, leaving pretty much everything else here. Yeah, I think I'm pretty content to maybe we can bump ED to 29 because again, late swap, we're going to be able to change that stuff anyway. Not like huge takes of a guy I need to have in that game that I feel that strongly outside of the obvious, currently Vince Williams is kind of hard to ignore on this slate. All right. On the Brooklyn side, Michael Porter Jr., they're finally raising his bump. I think it should be even higher. And oddly, this is the percentage I got by just running the strict Sabersim numbers. I think we could go even a little higher on this projection, to be honest with you, as a median. We know that the problem with them is staying in games. At least they're at home. Porter's put up 56 and 53 in the last two without the Cam Thomas. I think that this is I think 41 is actually a better number, to be honest. Nick Claxton, again, just sort of splitting the difference a little bit with Goldie's. Zaire Williams, we know this can go multiple ways. Again, leaving it for now because of the later game. Not thrilled about the play in general. Same thing with, I'm more okay with the Clowney idea, but again, different price ranges. Tyrese Martin, all these numbers feel close enough to where I'm not going to probably mess with anything else. I actually think I would go lower if I did anything on a lot of these guys, but I'm going to make that decision post, before I late swap. On the Boston side, Keita obviously stands out as a pretty reasonable value at 5,200. I'm fine with it. I think that Derek White maybe getting so much love worries me a little bit. Maybe just he's burned me a couple times recently, or this season, I should say. So I'm just going a little bit lower on him, a little bit lower on Pritchard. In the field, it's still not going to be enough to make a huge difference. I have a feeling on this slate that getting to some Simons is not a bad idea. There's also he could get some blowout run. I'm actually going to bump him up to a pretty reasonable number. I think there's a chance for him to have a game here. And again, just that's just where I'm at right now. Now, there are too many things for me to adjust for Atlanta and Detroit. We don't know what's going to happen, who's going to play or what. I actually think Jalen Johnson's an incredible tournament play. I'm probably just going to make sure for the first run that I'm just like above the field. Maybe I'll even go, I might even consider a little higher. And again, we'll hopefully hear about Kristaps and Kongwu and Risa Shea. By the way, Kongwu, if he's in and Porzingis, like you might get like one of these guys might end up being like the best player on the slate. And we just don't know yet. So the one thing I do want to make sure is no matter what, I want to have Jalen Johnson shares tonight. I think this is a great spot for him to have another big game. I think the same for Jalen Duren, and we'll just bump it up closer to Goldie's projection. I think that 39 is way too low. Now we'll see who else plays tonight and whether we want to mess with this, but I don't really want to mess with too many other things until we get some more news. I just think we're going to have to update again the projections on those anyway. Going to the Orlando Golden State game. Okay, so Orlando feels like there should be more action than what we are currently taking with no Paolo. And then we have to wait on Suggs. So I don't want to mess around so much, but I have a feeling we're supposed to be getting to the right amount of the Franz tonight, or at least like enough of it. I'm just going to make sure I have some. Wendell Carter playing enough. I just feel like, and then obviously if we lose Suggs, we go the other way. I think Bane is a little bit of a better play than he's getting projected for. Again, and this projection is going to change once we get word on Suggs officially. But I do like Bane, and I will get to Anthony Black no matter what. I just if we lose Suggs, obviously. Going to Golden State, I like Steph on these small slates. He tends to be overlooked a little bit and always has the ceiling, especially without Suggs. I mean, Black's a good defender too, but they haven't been the same this season defensively. Especially if they lose Suggs, I think this is an interesting spot to take shots on both Butler and Curry. So I'm not gonna put a huge number, but I'm gonna make sure I'm just getting like a little bit of each of these guys. I think they're both very reasonable to take stabs at. They're not projection plays. They're plays that you're hoping for the Steph, 40 real life point game, or the Jimmy Butler 50 fantasy point game. I think those are totally reasonable to ask for, and it's a small slate, so we want to try and take some of these lower owned shots. Let's rebuild and see where we're at. Again, this is probably going to be a little bit of a quick one. I actually think I'm getting better, but my sinuses are it's just pouring out of me. It's not been the most fun couple days. And let's see what we get. It's going to be all the Williams and all the Fox, but I think we did get take some other stands that we just are getting a little bit different on. And it's really hard, to know what happens until we get news, which probably will happen right before lock with all of Atlanta and all of Atlanta and all of Detroit, which is obviously the game we're going to target if we get any of those guys out. All right, so let's run the Sims just for those of you guys who. A little refresher. We're going to run the Sims, and I'm going to remind everybody to double click this save the contest thing. Again, don't double click. Actually, just click and then wait and then click again. I know it sounds silly, but watch. You'll see what happens with the exposures. All right. Watch, you'll see them change quite a bit once we hit save. Yeah, so there you have where I'm at right now. Now, again, a lot's going to change because of the Atlanta and Detroit news especially, but also Jalen Suggs is a factor. Let's look by exposure. So this is where I'm getting exposure-wise. I don't really love this idea of Desire, but again, later game, I'm going to feel a little bit better about it just because I can always wait to make my decisions. You never know. You might see a surprise starting lineup out of Brooklyn that we don't expect. Bad teams tend to do that early in the season, and it's been happening quite a bit this year. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to necessarily end up with that much Simons, but it does play into a thing that I like, which is if Boston, which would be pro Pritchard, pro Simons, if Boston is to pull away in this type of a game, because they would be on the court during that time, and probably in Simons' case, stay on the court with most scores, unless it's like 40 or 35 points. But if it's like 20. I think you see Simons stick it out there. So I like that extra potential 5-6 minutes that he could get in a blowout. And he can shoot himself into a game even in a non-blowout. They're also potentially looking to trade him, I've heard. And why not give him a little chance to show off in Brooklyn against a bad team? And maybe increase your value by a percentage point or two. So obviously going to have to run a lot of things later, but this is where I'm at for right now. I want to wish everybody a lot of luck. I will update my exposures as we get closer to lock in the next hour or so. About an hour from now, I'll do it in our Discord. And yeah, check out the packages, guys. Appreciate all the time and all the tuning in. Hopefully, I did chop the football showdown last night on. I chopped the $5 the flea flicker for like 6,800 or something like that. So it was a good night because of the football, and then I had a good Sunday night with a really brutal finish to that to the Detroit Philadelphia game. I was in second place, and anyway, I looked like I was going to win at least 50,000. Instead, I ended up fourth for like 15, so that was a little bit of a bummer. Also, could have still had first to had some outs, but anyway, good luck to everybody tonight. I appreciate all of you. Hit a like on the way out. Thanks, guys.